Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am finally back from Springfest in Indonesia. Just came back actually today, literally like a couple hours ago. And you know, it's a great time to kind of recollect my thoughts on the whole event and kind of go through the deck that I played for day one, and that was Shiranui. So big shout out to a few people before I start this video. So big shout out to Wirab, David Adipratama, and Kelvin Galini, best broken teammates in the world. We came second on day one, also came second on day two as well. Wouldn't go through, you know, Springfest with any other team. Like, these two are amazing. Big shout out to Joshua Lee and Rickson Chu in Malaysia. They kind of made this list and said, hey Derek, you know, you should bring it for Springfest Indonesia. It's gonna do you well, and you know, it did me pretty well. So big shout out to them as well. So gonna go through the deck and kind of talk more so on the event itself, not so much on the deck, because I have a deck profile already on essentially the cards that run in this deck. But I guess, you know, there are some things that are missing, and I guess I'll talk more about the inclusions in this deck more so than the individual cards itself. So first off, we have the ride line. Nothing too crazy. Everyone runs the Shoju Doji ride line. Obviously in JP you can't run it because they have the ride line restriction for, you know, stride deck sets. So best ride line this deck can ever ask for, literally a +1, which helps in the grade 2 game, especially if you're playing against Luard or the Mirror. And yeah, it's just really good. It allows you to combo with Izasuo for grade 2 gaming. It just makes the deck work really well. So that's the ride line. Go through the G zone, nothing too crazy, you know. You only have 2 strides, so you play 4 Magutenbu, 4 Mukuro. Generally, you go into Magutenbu mostly. Mukuro is really good. I found that I used him a lot over the weekend because there are times when my hand isn't as sufficient as I want it to be, and striding into Mukuro just means that I'm able to farm up my hand again, get to a position where I can stabilize for at least one more turn, get through another turn, and then pretty much kill him on the turn after. So yeah, Mukuro allows me to do that. Magutenbu is more my finisher stride because obviously dominate 2, but the power scaling on, you know, flipping 1 G zone for an extra +5 to the front row while you're having restandards is really strong as well. So yeah, that's the strides. So we'll talk about the grade 4s and the grade 3s. So I play 3 Esperadia, 3 of the original Shiranui, Bracing Angel Ladder, and Oboro. So a lot of people are looking to cut this, and I think in this current metagame you actually cannot do that. The reason why is Bracing Angel Ladder cancels out 1 whole turn. So essentially what you want to do is to have this on your on the turn that your opponent Bracing Angel Ladders you. Without that, you're just attacking for 3 attacks. It's just not sufficient enough, right? Especially in this day and age where, you know, Luard is getting 5 attacks, 6 attacks even, for essentially like no, you know, counter or whatever. I think that's just really strong. So to be able to combat that, you need a way to be able to multi-attack without, you know, getting completely impacted by Bracing Angel Ladder. Obviously, you know, if you hit your OT, then you're a pretty good player, but, you know, I'm not a good player. I don't hit my OTs. So the second card I wanted to talk about is the original Stealth Dragon Shiranui. A lot of people are asking, why are you not running the Blavorius Dragon? And it is purely because grade 2 gaming. Grade 2 gaming is so big in Indonesia. Like, everyone grade 2 games, contesting for first stride is just so big. And I found that if I find more stealth units, and if I find a 13k body on the board, they can't get rid of it, right? A lot of people just chuck 10ks into the front row and they can't deal with this, right? And what's so special about this being in the front row, your opponent has to commit a booster to try to kill it, right? These decks don't run retires, so pretty much they can't on-spot retire this card when they're playing grade 2 games, right? You put a 10 ray behind this is 21, which means they will always hit over defensive triggers, and then the other side can just be like a 10k. Like who cares, right? So this card will always stay on the board when you're on grade 2, right? Yes, you know, you could up the count of Oboro, but, you know, taking out Bulborius means that, you know, if you're ditching cards to Stride, like, it's good to get the +1, right? Maybe sometimes, like, you know, you translate this into a 23k attacker when you Stride. You know, if your opponent can't get rid of it, they end up running up. Let's just say, you know, they ride up, they Bracing Angel ladder you, you only have 1 Esperadia, like 4 attack is like pretty sufficient. And this guy just pretty much becomes like a real big beat stick. 23k attacker plus 5 off the Mug with Tembu, which is 28. Sometimes, you know, if your opponent plays effect draws, it's like a 2-card guard attack, which is really good. So yeah, it has multiple applications, and I think just purely because the fact that it has stealth in the name, Shoujo Doji allows you to call this onto the board. You put a Tenrei or Shenri behind it. Regardless if Shenri has its skill or not, it's hitting for minimum 21, which means that no matter what your opponent does, right, can't deal with it. If they're 15k your Vanguard, you check a crit, it's 31k, your opponent has to ditch like 2 15ks, which is like really unoptimal for them, right? So yeah, which is purely the reason why grade 2 gaming is just, yeah, too insane. Bracing Angel Ladder, this card is bonkers into the mirror. You have to find the right time to use this, and first stride is never usually the time to do it because that is when the attacks are the weakest. Generally, you want to use Bracing Angel Ladder on the 2nd or 3rd stride turn for against Shiranui. So, you know, you're going into your 2nd stride turn, you drop this, and your opponent's like attacks just stop being big, right? It's like 35k for like 35, it's 3 attacks, who cares, right? So yeah, that's Bracing Angel Ladder, and you still play 2 Oboro. You need access to Mukuro, but I think 2 is fine, especially because you're playing 2 Stride Fodder, being able to tutor this out. Playing 2 means that your other 2 can actually deck filter 2 of these, which is really nice, and also it's a grade 3 with stealth, 13k body, again on the board for grade 2 gaming is really good too. So that's the grade 3 plus. Then looking on to the grade 2s, so I guess we'll talk about the re-standards first. So I played 4 Furai and 2 Sekai. The reason why I dropped Sekai is because I run Esperadia, so there's not really a need to have this clog your deck. Usually people would like run like 4-3, 4-4 even, but with the, you know, access to like 3 more Esperadias, like I think 4-3-9 multi-attackers is like really good. And yeah, like if you find this off like Shoujo Doji, it's great. You know, you just pop into the front row. Yeah, it's just really good, right? Primarily you want Furai because the first attack is actually bigger. So you don't really care if your opponent attacks into a grade 2 game. Usually I find this that it's just a 10k, you just bash. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So 9 multi-attackers, anything more I think is just clogging up the deck, or I guess you're using that slot inefficiently for something else that should probably fit in the deck, right? Then the most broken card in this deck, I think, is this new Energy Blast 2 or Energy Blast 3 cycler card. Drag rid of Full Heart. Why this card is broken is because it is a 0 card guard in the grade 2 game, right? Your opponent hits for 10, you drop this, haha, Energy Blast 3, draw 1, right? This 1 card replenishes itself by guarding a 5k on the rear guard, which is ridiculous, right? Not a lot of decks can do that. I know that there's Luai variants that run the Wisdom Tayfault engine, which does not run Biscotti, and in that respect, they don't have Biscotti, and not being able to do this is just really strong, right? Really weak. So having this is really strong. So if you're playing the grade 2 game, right, your opponent puts like, I don't know, in the mirror, like an Azaswa, Furai maybe, puts like a Shenri on like one side, so it's like 10-10-21, something like that, or 10-10-23. The 10 you just drop, this is like a free guard, right? This card can then convert into like a 15k, a PG, another like body on the board, you know, for the next turn. It's just really good, right? Especially if you like, you know, you drop this as like 5k, then you draw into like a 15k, and then let's just say you have like an Azazel in hand, you just like intercept with your 5k on the board, and then drop the 15 that you just drew off this. So pretty much you're guarding 2 attacks for 1 card, which is ridiculous, right? Obviously, you know, you committed the 1 card on the board, but yeah, alas. But essentially, like the 15k that you draw off this, you just drop it onto the opponent's Vanguard. Let's just say they're attacking for 18. You intercept one's like 20, so OT to pass, which is just really, really strong, right? So this card is a 0 card guard card, which is ridiculous. And I found myself actually burning through, you know, all of these during the game, which is ridiculous. And obviously if you're going second, you drop this for, you know, ride deck, you immediately draw 3, find a Shiranui, put it behind your Vanguard, it's like 21, really, really strong. Yeah, this card is just ridiculous. Yeah, so that's that. Then I play only 3 Azazel. I was contemplating on running 4, but then I talked to Josh and Rickson, and they told me only play 3 and play 4 full art instead, purely because of the 0 card guard mechanic, and it's just really good, right? This card becomes a dead card pretty much after the grade 2 game, and you have other cards to be able to plus you know, like Tenrei, Shoujo Doji grade 2, you're able to keep up the momentum. And then like, you know, this being a 0 card guard, which means that like bodies like Furai, bodies like Sekai, stay on the board. You know, if you have like, you know, a 13k on the board, and then you just drop like a 4 heart, then the need for this card becomes less relevant. You would run 4 just to see it, but I think like being able to just dig through your deck with full art will naturally draw you into this anyways. So yeah, I didn't find that the 4th one was needed. I always found like, you know, I usually just drop this for like 5k shield for my ride line. Usually I play it once, get into like a Tenrei, CB1 draws 1, put it behind the Vanguard or something. Yeah. So yeah, only 3 is Azazel. Big shout out to Rickson because he forgot to give, well, I forgot to give it back to him after he put his Azazel in this deck, so this is actually his. So yeah, big shout out to Rickson. Then the grade 1s, so we play 3 PGs, 1 Elementaria. Elementaria is needed for Drag Strider. Yeah, just make sure you have Elementaria or draw into it. So that's that. Alright, so moving on to the last bit of the grade 1s, I play 3 Tenrei, 3 Shiranui, and then 2 of the Strive Fodder. We spoke about the Strive Fodder before. Being able to just fetch for your Oboro is really good. I find that sometimes, like in the early game or the mid game, if I know that I'm winning the grade 2 game, my opponent's going to ride up, I discard this to find my Oboro. It's really good because you're deck thinning 1 grade 3 that you don't really want to see in hand, because your opponent's going to ride up and then you're ditching it for stride. Also means that you have more likely of a chance to hit like defensive triggers on the grade 2 game. And yeah, I mean like ditching a grade 3 for like PGs is always good too. But yeah, this being able to search 2 Oboro is just really good. Oboro obviously has its, you know, role of being a 13k body, finding off Shoujo Doji. So yeah, being able to find Oboro is good. Only play 3 Tenrei because the 4th one I find that I need to commit a slot for Fall Heart with the 0 card guard, I guess, mentality. And then 3 Shiranui, only 3 because, again, I need to have a slot for Fall Heart. But also it's because like people would deny this like super hard, especially if you're playing against Lua, you'll never get this off unless you nuke your opponent's board. Surprisingly enough, I did actually like nuke my opponent's board a few times. Just get rid of all their stuff, especially on their kill turns. Your opponent's at 5, they have an OT left. I want to make sure that, you know, I hit a crit and they have to eat a crit. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be really detrimental, right? And then that's like the only time I ever get Shiranui off. So yeah, that's the grade 1s. Then looking at the triggers, so I play 4 heals. 8 crits, nothing too crazy. 3 fronts. Fronts over draws because this deck already generates insane advantage with like Tenrei, Shodoji in the early game. 4 heart, replacing guard, it's just really good. And then Drag Beta, most broken OT. Pretty much if you hit this, you auto win, but I never hit it, so I didn't auto win any of my matches, which is pretty funny. Alright, so let's just talk about how I went throughout the day. So day 1, obviously played Shiranui. I actually played against like a bunch of random stuff throughout the whole day. So first round was against Shiranui, which was a mirror. It was the only mirror I played the whole day. So I played in seat B. That one I ended up winning. I think I just outgrade 2-gamed him. And yeah, like nothing too crazy. So no OTs were hit. It was just like super solid fair game. I don't think I used ladder that game. I don't think any of us found ladder. But yeah, I think I just outbeat him in the grade 2 game. He ended up riding up, and then yeah, that was that. Round 2 was Shamo. Shamo was kind of scary if I didn't find any of my PGs. So pretty much like he cleared his board, but I went first. So I went first, rode Oboro. Oboro then ended up calling something out, and then I pretty much got a full stride turn. Even though he tried to clear his board. So, super straightforward. Ended up spamming a bunch of like Tenreis to try to get my PGs. Ended up getting 2 to 3 PGs, which was really good. So that was that. Third round was Luard. Ended up winning that one. Again, outgrade 2-gamed him. I think this particular player didn't run the Tayfault build. So I think it was just Biscotti. So won that match pretty convincingly. Then fourth round was Zorga Mask. Zorga Mask was a bit odd. Pretty much I went first. I think I went first. He dropped triple Philander, got everything in the bin, ran Habitat, called something, double Roaming Prison Dragon, and then just rushed my face, right? So that was kind of annoying. And then, yeah, I just can't cope with that, right? Like, the power's just insane. So, yeah, flopped to that and died. Round 5, I played Morphonica. Morphonica was actually really free. So Morphonica ended up, doing its resist grade 2 order thing, protected the board. I nearly had double Esperadia. So I had Esperadia. I ditched my 4 heart for Ride Line, which then Soul Blaster 3 drew me into a grade 3 Shiranui that draws 1 when I ditch for Stride. So I ditched that for Stride, rode Magutenbu. The Shiranui skill drew me 1, which drew me into an Esperadia. So I pretty much went double Esperadia, 5 attacks. Cool. I think one of those attacks was guarded with a draw trigger, and then pretty much that was the one non-Morphonica card, and essentially from that turn onwards, it was it, right? Called the draw of Oboro's skill, and I could dominate it because it doesn't get protected by the grade 2 order. So I won that. Then I versed 4 tier. So this one was pretty funny. So I was pretty ahead. I went then 2 to pass. A lot of triggers were out already. 2 to pass on a 13k 4 tier. Then he goes crit lyrical OT, and I'm like, oh, guess I might be dead, right? Had the PG, went through that turn completely fine, but on the backlash, pretty much all of their rear guards were like super strong. So I'm like, what do I do, right? So yeah, I died to that to 4 tier. Then versus Luard in the final round. I ended up winning that one. I'm fairly sure. I'm pretty sure I won that one. Again, outgrade 2-gamed, and yeah, that was that. I think at one point it was like, it was a pretty deciding factor because I had the this, and I was thinking like whether I should play it behind the Vanguard or not. as a booster, and I think my thought process was if I don't do it now, then it doesn't scale well enough if I play it like the next turn, because I essentially want 3 turns of 18k center. So I ended up dropping it, and actually mattered because it forced my opponent to make unoptimal guarding decisions, which meant sometimes no guards to Vanguard, and then I ended up hitting crit, and then, you know, his hand just whittled to nothing. And then at that point, just pretty much, he ended up having an Abyssal Hour into the front row, a Morfessa on the other side, and then a 10k Liar Fall in the middle. So it was like 10, 10, 8, swing for 10, guard that, swing for 10, guard 15, OT to pass, and then didn't hit a trigger. So I was like, wow, that was like from a really, really good, you know, grade 2 game into a really bad turn, and that was pretty much the turning point of the game. And then from there, yeah, I just pretty much outlasted that and won. Then ended up obviously making top 8. So then played against Welstra. So this was Ilham. He did not have a day. He had 1 win, I think. Ended up 7 losses. This game wasn't really, you know, nothing too out of the ordinary, I think. Just bashed a bunch, took away his Freiheits, and then just guarded through normally. I think I paced myself, stayed at 2, then went to 5, ended up healing once, I think, from 5 to 4, went back up to 5 again, and then pretty much went through his turn, which was pretty good. Then played top 4 into Luard, and I think this one I ended up grade 2 gaming for like 2 turns. Opponent rode up, and then I rode up, did my shenanigans, and yeah, that was it. So that was that. And then I ended up playing Leonorn in the finals. This was rough. Like, Leonorn dropped, it was like Rosarium Fairy, and then on grade 2, played the Roro line. So pretty much like, it was like 13, 15 with a Luster Dragon in the back, which was like 15 and 5 is like 20. And then ended up hitting like, I think a crit or a heal. So he went from 2 to 1, made the Luster Dragon column 30k, which was really annoying. So it's like 5k, and then yeah. So that was that. And then furthermore, it got to like, I think the Leonorn turn only had 3, went through 3 attacks. Went through my stride turn, and then pretty much, you know, did what I did, but then didn't get any PGs on the Vivace turn. I was pushed up to 2 high damage at that point anyways, so the only way to get out was an OT, and yeah, it was just not happening. So yeah, lost that, ended up losing the finals unfortunately, and then came second. So that was my tournament run for day 1. So yeah, that is pretty much my deck that I brought for Springfest this weekend. I think it was a really good choice. Our team was Luard, Shiranui, and Mygo. And I think, you know, our seating positions were really good. Our decision making was really good. And I think, you know, all in all, it was a really, you know, good tournament experience. So yeah. So that's pretty much it for this deck profile. If you guys like it, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of, you know, my choices. Pretty much, you know, everything was kind of thought through for what I was expecting, and pretty much what I was expecting I essentially experienced on the day. A lot of grade 2 gaming, and yeah, that was pretty much it. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.